Hello, my fellow gamers! Sandrock Custom here. We are back with World of Warcraft. It's time to do a little bit more gold farming. Alright, so I had an interesting day. So yesterday's stream we finished up a little bit of farming, and I mentioned kind of casually that I was about to hit around 300,000 gold, and I did. And I ended up catching the WoW token when it was down to 165,000, so I went ahead and snapped that up. Got my next free month, and it sat there with my remaining money and thought, what should I do with this? So I went ahead and blew all of it on Imperium. The Imperium market is just so fluid right now. Currently, its value is very low. It's sitting at about 20 gold, 58 cents. Last time Trade Skill Master did a scan, its value is around 25 or 28, depending on if you go by the market value or the region market value. And, you know, it's tomato tomato. It's somewhere between 25 gold and 28 gold. So what I did was I am keeping some of it on the auction house at around 23 gold, and I did purchase all of those for, let's see. It looks like this number here is not entirely accurate because this is like all the Imperium that I've ever bought, but I bought most of this for around 20 gold, and I basically did a small reset of the Imperium market. It's right back down because people are going nuts farming this stuff. But what I'm going to be doing today, what I wanted to show on stream to start with is I wanted to show how I'm going to diversify this a little bit so that I'm not just trying to flip this and I'm fighting against the market pressure. Because what happens a lot of time is with these big in-demand items, you'll get someone on your server that is just dead set on selling their items at like 60% of the value, because of course they're going to sell that for 60% of the value. Who wouldn't want to buy that if they're already in the market anyway? Of course they're going to buy the 40% off. So they'll continue to sell things at the 60% value, and maybe they say, hey, this is going pretty well, I should like farm the entire day and then sell all of it. And so then they flood the market with this cheap Imperium, and the market crashes. And that's basically how you crash the market in World of Warcraft, is rather than undercutting by 1 copper, which is what you should be doing, by the way, always undercut by just 1. You don't need to undercut by any more, ever. Rather than doing that, they make these massive price cuts that don't make sense mathematically, but most people are not looking at this, you know, from a market perspective or an accounting perspective. So anyway, what I wanted to do was avoid the trap of trying to just flip the items, of buying them cheap and selling them high. That can work, but again, there's so many people farming Imperium right now, there's probably going to just be more and more of this Imperium on the market that's selling at this bottomed out price. So what I'm going to do is transform this Imperium into gems, and I'm going to then decide based on what I get whether to craft those into something else or just sell the gems as they are. Now, I did want to real quick show you guys some tools I use. If I can get this pulled up, I'm going to switch over to my screen capture. This is the Undermine Journal, and this is WoW Auction, or Auction, however you pronounce that. I've heard it both ways. I use both of these to try and determine how likely I am to sell something. If we go to the Undermine Journal and we type in Imperium, this is going to show us the trends for the past, is this the past month? It's just like the past week. You can see that there was a massive jump in price for Imperium. It was coming up from a crash, so it was like a rebound. It rebounded from 1870 all the way up to 46, and then it kind of stabilized, and then it's kind of been dropping. It's fairly stable in here, but we're in another drop because, as you can see, this is very highly correlated with the amount of quantity, how much is on the auction house. We're seeing a bit of a price increase again because there's less quantity available. So the more of this stuff that is not available, the higher the price will go. Now, another thing that I like to do is go here on WoW Auction I'm going to call it WoW Auction because that's what it looks like. I'm going to drive somebody nuts, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Imperium. We're going to go ahead and search for that and look at the stats here. These numbers here are what I'm really concerned with. So the daily price change trend, this tells us that on a day-to-day basis, we'll see a change in price of around 2.39%. That means that this is a pretty stable item. There's not going to be huge fluctuations in price. These numbers here are also very important. This tells me that the average posted per day is like just under 50,000 pieces of ore, and around 10,000 are sold. So there's a 23% demand for this item right now. Now, when I purchased this, I purchased 10,000 of it, which is 1 day's worth of demand, give or take. Now, it's possible I could sell all of that on my own, but again, if someone's bottoming in the market out, what are the odds I'm going to be the one that people buy from? Not very high. This is why we're doing diversification, we're doing a shuffle, we're going to be transforming some of this Imperium into higher quality items. Now, we know this is profitable because if you hover over this using the TSM tools, there's a prospect value here at the top under the Trade Skill Master info. It says 28 gold and 7 cents. That means for large quantities, and this is important, large quantities of Imperium, on average, you're going to get about 28 gold worth per ore that you prospect versus the 20 gold that it's worth just selling it raw. Now, why is the quantity worth a lot? Well, because of gem chips. Gem chips they're basically scrap, is the best way I can describe it for gems. They are used in some recipes for cooking, but they don't have a lot of uses for that, so they're really not worth much, and you make so much of them in jewel crafting. So if you have a stack of 20, even though the tooltip is telling you that its prospect value is 28 gold, if you're unlucky, you may just get a bunch of gem chips and you would have been better off selling it raw. But for a large quantity like what we have here, I have 2,000 in my bags on my main character, on my jewel crafter, we're definitely going to be prospecting this. Now you might be asking, well, why aren't we just going to prospect all of it? Why not turn all 10,000 of your Imperium ore into gems and then craft it into something else? Well, I may end up doing that, just depending on how the market plays out on my server. I want to start off small because this is something you can't undo, and I think that it's better to just, take the step of let's do something that we can reverse first, or at the very least minimize it to something that's a little more manageable, and then we can build up to that if we need to. If the market completely bottoms out, I may very well just prospect all of this stuff into gems, craft it, make my money that way, especially because the value is higher with prospecting. But you can bottom out the jewel crafting market. It can happen, and you've got to remember that you need to figure out what is the value of the gem. So let's go ahead and prospect a couple stacks of this. We're going to be prospecting 100 total, using the mass prospecting feature. Let's prospect 10 to start with, and I'll show you what we're working with. All right, so we're already getting... Yeah, we've already got some rare gems. That's great. These are our gem chips, and these are our rare gems. Okay, not bad. I was hoping this would pick up on that and we'd be able to use this to keep a tally, but we can figure that out real quick. Gem chips are currently worth 91 silver, and I've got 40 of those, so that's about 36 gold worth. Again, really not worth anything. Labradorite is 493, and we've got 2 of those, so we'll just round it up and say 1,000. This is worth 440, so 1440. This is 1,000, so 2440, and this is 664. So this is about 3,000 gold we got, and that was from 200. Yeah. So 200 times 20. So we did actually come under a little bit in terms of value. It actually would have been a little bit better to sell that stack of 10 raw. But again, that's why it's important to look at mass quantities, okay? You know, we got an unlucky draw, so to speak. We came under what the value was worth to sell the items raw, but all the same, this will work for us to illustrate the point. Now, take a look here at the region average daily sold. 9.6, 18.62. 11.88, 10.2. Can you see the problem already? If we go to the gems and we look at some of these epic gems, where are they at? Here we go. Deadly Deep Chemmarine, this is one of the epic gems that you can make. 31.92. Master Argolite, 33.28. 33. And 20.25. So, at most, if we're lucky, each color we can sell around 30, give or take. So that's the concern with prospecting all of our Imperium and turning it into gems and gem chips. There is also the possibility that we get very unlucky and we're just not able to get the maximum value that TSM is predicting. But again, that's why we're hedging our bets a little bit and going with an 80-20 percentage here of raw or to prospecting. So let's go ahead and finish prospecting the remainder of this and see what we can come up with. I do need to switch back to that real quick. Now, those of you that are watching may have seen that we've got, I mentioned 7.3.5 in the description at the top. Once we finish doing this and we turn this into the items that we sell and we post it, we're actually going to be hopping over to the PTR server and we're going to be doing some comparisons. There's a really good video on Want to Buy Gold's channel about the changes coming up in 7.3.5. The really cool thing is that they are expanding level scaling from just doing 100 to 110, where all the content is level specific to you. So if you're 102, the enemies are 102, no matter where you are, basically. They're expanding that to the whole game. Meaning that if you're on the Horde side and you're playing in Duratar, that zone is going to be levels like 1 to 60. Basically, like your entire vanilla WoW experience. You can do whatever quest lines you want in any of the vanilla zones. I believe Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, they're going to have in the same leveling range, rather than being first you do Burning Crusade, then you do Wrath of the Lich King. Personally, I'm thrilled about that because I hate Burning Crusade. But also what's happening is, with that, that's going to be affecting loot drops, and so Reckles over on Want to Buy Gold put out a call yesterday for some playtesters to go onto the PTR and put some information into a spreadsheet for them so that we can analyze the results. We're going to be doing a little bit of that today on the stream. But let's take a look at our final results, and I'm actually going to get a calculator out for this. I want to get a raw gold value here and see, did we come out at what TSM predicted? So let me get my calculator pulled up. I missed this before. Florid Malachite. Okay, so we have 16 Florid Malachite, currently selling for $439.75. That comes out to 7,036. And then we've got 20 Labradorite. Woof woof bark bark. Sorry, just had to say that joke at least once. So 7036. Hang on a second, I gotta figure out the memory setting on this calculator. Add that to memory. Then clear. Alright, so 493 times 20 is 9860, so that's 10,000 we're sitting on right there. We'll add that to our total, which is now up to 16,896. Moving along, we've got Hecilian, which is worth 440 gold, and we got 10 of those. Fantastic. Light's Fiend. Light's Fiend is currently selling for 999.98, and we got 13 of those. And then last epic gem is Camarine, which is 664.49, and we got 10 of those. So that comes out to 66449. Okay. And then the gem chips are, we got 400 of those, is that correct? I think that's the only ones that I have in my bags here. Yeah, so we got 400 of those, 91% of 400, that's going to be 380 gold, give or take. I'm not going to stress about that number too much. So the grand total for that prospect right there was 41,320 gold and 64 silver. Now, what is the amount expected for 2,000? For 2,000 of this. Let me go ahead and we'll get that looked up. So for Imperium, and of course I don't have that pulled up, we'll go to the Undermine Journal and look at the current value there. Actually, it was 28. We'll say 28 just for those purposes. And we prospected that. So the expected value according to TSM is 56,000 gold, and we came in at 48 and change. That's a significant difference. That's off by about 8,000 gold. So I'm really glad that we tested this. Again, it's possible that we're just unlucky, but I suspect that there is something going on in the calculations that TSM is doing that is not handling this quite right. So I'm actually really glad that I did this, because this is actually showing me that I need to not rely on the prospecting value of TSM. It's actually going to cost me money potentially. We can still make money with this though, because what this is going to do for us is we have a way of figuring out if our crafting ability can turn these into more profitable materials. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I'm going to do just dual crafting real quick. I'm going to turn off my Legion cooking. I'm using TSM groups, and I'm going to click the restock selected groups. Okay, so it didn't come up with a whole lot of items, but what it did come up with was Deadly Deep Camarine and Quick Light's Fiend, and then a couple of Saber's Eyes and a Subtle Shadow Ruby pendant. So I'm going to go ahead and craft those. Basically what that's doing for us is it is letting us know that these items are definitely worth crafting into more profitable items. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to manually check these gems. And I'm going to take a look at this. If you go to the very bottom line here, not the one that has my character name Barely Alive, but above that it says crafting cost. Turning a Camarine into a Deadly Deep Camarine increases its value to 118 by 118 gold. So it is worth crafting more of these, and I'm going to do just that today, I think. I'm going to do that with some of those, but actually what I'm also going to do is I'm going to see if we can get any crowns. Nope, because I used up all of my Imperium. How embarrassing. You know what, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and I'll do that off camera. We're going to use half of these, because again, we want to diversify. We're going to use half of these, and we're going to turn these into their epic gem versions, and we're going to send that over to our banking alt so that he can post those later on. Now the Masterful Argolite, there is a profit with that, and these do sell better, so I'm going to craft 4 of these. Quick Light's Fiend, also a profit, and I'm going to go with 7 of these. Finally, Versatile Labradorite. Now this one is a loss, so we need to take a look here at the gem itself. So this one is actually better off if we just sell it raw, because turning it into a gem is just not profitable for us. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and go to my mail. I've got TSM groups set so that any final gem crafting products are sent to my banking vault. I'm going to manually send half of these gems over to my banking alt. And I'm also going to... Is there anything else here I wanted to sell? I think that's going to do it. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. So send that to the banking alt. There we go. Who is this? I don't know who that is. All right. Hey, Hexed. How's it going, man? Thanks for joining us today. All right. Let's take a look here. So, we've got that sent over. Real quick, I am going to show you guys how I do my posting on the auction house. We'll hop over to my banking alt. All right. So usually the first thing I do when I log into my banking alt is I do a cancel scan. I'm not going to do that here because it can take 5 to 10 minutes. So usually I'll actually hit the cancel scan button and just walk away, you know, get a drink or something like that. So today we're just going to be doing some posting on stream. Just want to show you guys how I do that. I do have the an add-on to help clean up my bags just to help keep things a little organized. You can see that I've got some here in my bag, some Imperium in the bag, but I also have a ton more sitting in my bank account. This is my current auction list. Looks like I've got just under 8,000 coming in. That's nice. That's very nice. Yeah, so I've got a ton of items posted at the moment. If we go to the shopping tab, or not the shopping, the auction tab, this is usually what I click to get a cancel scan going, and you can see it takes a little while to chug up, and then once it does, it has to prepare a bunch of filters, and it'll scan 255 items. We're not going to do that. But we are going to do a post scan, and I'm going to let this run for a second. The settings I have... I've got, the groups I've got here are from Shaynara. She's got a pretty good YouTube channel. It's a little out of date, but I recommend you guys check it out anyway. There's some really good information there. The thing that you really want to look for is her group import settings, because this is actually what I have here. She did a really good job just organizing everything in this game. I mean, it's an exhaustive list. It doesn't have everything, but it has like all the categories you could possibly think of. So if I go to tailoring, you can see under tailoring, if I go items, I got all this, but then I've got Legion tailoring. This is all the new stuff, and that's broken down into light weave and legendary and imbued silk weave. We've also got under tailoring, we've got the established markets. So this is going to be no longer available, shirts, specialty cloth, Miss Pandaria, expensive items. She's done a really good job of breaking it down into interesting and potentially useful categories. So that's the first thing I use. She also has a ton of auctioning operations. A lot of these things I do leave at their default settings because they're pretty good, but I have gone and tweaked a little bit some of the settings. Average buy is what I use the most. This is the one that I'm using for my Imperium. We've got it set to a 24-hour duration. Stack sizes of 20 because I do want I want decent size amounts of ore, but I don't want these massive, 200 stacks of Imperium, because that's, what, 4,000 a pop. People aren't always willing to spend that much money on that, whereas they are willing to spend 464 gold, That's much easier to come across. And if you've got all of your items posted back to back, hey, people are more willing to buy it. And I do allow 10 total stacks to be posted, meaning I allow 200 to be posted at a time. I think I'm actually going to increase this a little bit to 15 because I want, especially with Imperium, I believe the market can handle the extra influx of quantity, and I don't want to starve it out too much. Bid percent I have set to 94%. 94% is actually important because 94% is more visible than 95. Just the quirk of the auction house, I don't know why. This is the formula that Shaynara came up with. I haven't really done a breakdown of it. Excuse me. But basically what it's doing... Basically what it's doing is it's trying to figure out, you know, what's the safest amount to post it for that someone's likely to buy it for that isn't going to also screw you over. So a lot of times what will happen is people will do things like, say, 95% of DB market. DB market is just the name of the variable for how much the current value is. So whatever the lowest amount is, undercut it by 1 copper is basically what it's saying. You know, this amount here. That can get you into trouble, though, if someone does something like, say, post an item for 1% of its value. Maybe they make a typo, maybe they do it on purpose, but you're posting your stuff, you're not paying attention, you post it, and you also post it at that price, minus 1 copper, and you've just given away all of your stock. Someone is going to swoop in and buy all of that, and you're going to have nothing. So, these formulas are really important to have. I'm not super mathematically minded myself. I'm not very good at figuring out algorithms, so I like to use Shaynara's formulas. They work pretty well for me. I did tweak this. She had it set up default at whenever something is below the minimum price to post it at the normal price. Normal price is 200% of the max value plus all this other gibberish. I don't like that. I always... If it's the minimum price, if the number is low, I want it to be the lowest amount I'm going to sell it, because that means that once the market starts to reset, my item is going to be right there, waiting at its correct value, the lowest I'm willing to accept for it. If I wait until I get that back to a normal price, I could be sitting on inventory for weeks. You know, sometimes the markets do crazy things, and maybe the new normal is lower anyway. That happens, and it can take months for the DB market variable to catch up on that. There's just no way to know. So I don't ever want to be caught with just sitting on inventory. That's not good to anybody. So I did change that to post at minimum price. So let's go ahead and post this. We'll only be posting 8. And that's it. I'm done. I've got yeah, just under 8,000 coming in. Total value of my auctions is around 600,000. Don't pay too much attention to this number. This is like if every single item I have sold, and I have a lot of transmog, a lot of old world, you know, herbs and silks and things like that. Things that are not likely to just overnight sell all at once. But it's there, and it's kind of cool to look here and see, like, oh, I'm worth 600,000 gold plus the cash I have on hand. That's kind of cool. So anyway, we've got that taken care of. The auction house is set up. Let's go ahead and jump over to the PTR. I'm going to exit the game, and I'm going to switch. Hey, Slippery, how's it going? Glad you could join us today. Slippery's another streamer, video content creator. You should check out his channel. He's pretty good. Thanks for joining us today, Slippery. Good to see you. He's also my brother, so yeah, there's that too. I'm a little biased. All right, sorry for the blank screen. That'll be going away shortly. And I'm getting the PTR pulled up. Going to try to play the cutscene. We're not going to do that. I'll apologize for the music. Hang on a second, I'll fix that. Oh boy. That's a little troubling. I thought for sure it was going to import my character. Hang on just a minute. Oh, and of course it's not, it's not even picking up the right thing. Yeah, so you can see it's got the character creator here. So, yeah. Alright, hang on a second. I think that there's a way to get my character over. I don't know if I'll be able to do that right away, but we can certainly try. Okay. Okay, copy character, which, this one, barely alive. Copy. Yes, please. Awesome. Alright. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, and while I wait for this to load, I'm going to go ahead and get the spreadsheet pulled up. What we're going to be doing, we're going to go to Nomergon, and we're going to run through that dungeon. It is going to be a little bit faster than before. We did that on yesterday's stream. But it's still going to be like level 60, so it shouldn't take that much longer. This is the spreadsheet we're going to be using. So what we've got here is we've got a section for what's the name of the zone or the instance you're running, zone, coordinates, names, blah, blah, blah. We're going to fill all this information out, and we're going to compare information from before and after. This is going to be the after section, and I may or may not do the before as well by going back to the live server. Oh goodness. It's going to show a bunch of my achievements on here. That's hilarious. Oh gosh. Oh no. Oh, all of my settings are going to be messed up. Oh no. God. Oh dear God, no. Well, I think we can work around this. Hang on a second. Maybe we won't be doing this today. You know what? We can make this work. We'll make it work. Okay. So, go down here. Oh, that's frustrating. So this doesn't have any of my add-ons installed because it's the PTR. It doesn't have any of my settings over here. So it's going to be a little wonky. Do apologize for that. But again, it's the PTR, so I'm not going to fuss with it too much and just try to get it perfect because I don't think that's going to do anybody any good. Seems like the volume's a little loud on that. Do apologize. I'll fix that here in a moment. Okay, looks like it's taking a little bit for this to load. That's kind of unfortunate. So one of the concerns that people have is that with the changes that are coming in this next patch, the way the way that loot tables work now, each item has a certain level, like say level 20, 30, 31, whatever. And if your character is at that level, they have a higher chance of getting that item. So if the item level is 58 and your character is 58, you have the base chance to get that item. If it's a 1% chance of drop, then you have a 1% chance to get it, period. Now, if you're a level above that, your chance is cut in half, meaning that it is down to 0.5%. We're just going to leave trade chat because trade chat is awful, always. I have a feeling the sound on this is terrible. Oh, good lord, 100%. No. Okay. There we go. So that's the way it currently works. Now, we don't know if there's going to be any major changes to that. Oh, wow, it's even got my travel form messed up. Oh, jeez, this is going to be painful. We're going to be doing a lot of clicking. A lot of clicking. Wonder why I can't fly on here. Looks like they're having that same problem too. They're trying to fly on their flying mount. This is why it's on the test server. Okay. So, again, you know, currently you've got that 0.5% chance, you know, for one level above, and then it gets cut in half again if you're another level above, which is obviously a little bit problematic. Now, with the new changes, because the content is scaling, that doesn't really make sense anymore. So what's going to be happening now is items are also going to be scaling with your level. So you can get the same item at both level 20 and level 60, or level 59, or whatever. It's kind of a problem of, you know, because the content is going to be scaling with your level, the drops need to scale with your level too. So that's the concern people have, is they're like, you know, hey, does this mean that we're no longer going to be able to figure out like the actual percent chance of dropping items? You know, what's going on here? Yeah, it looks like flying is actually completely disabled for me. That's odd. It's okay. It's not that far to Nomergon. So that's the purpose of this testing. We're on the PTR now. This is patch 7.3.5. We want to see what the content looks like, and we also want to see what the drop rates look like. So we're going to go ahead and make our way over to Nomergon. We're going to hoof it over to Nomergon, which is a low-level dungeon. I believe level 10 to 15 is what it was intended for. I apologize that I keep turning the camera. The keys are not what I'm used to, so I keep pressing the wrong one. But it is originally level 10 to 15. It should be level 60 for us now. Meaning all the item drops should be level 60, the enemies should be level 60, you know, everything. And we're going to see how that impacts our loot chances and our drops, if at all. Alright, it's not too much further. So Nomergon is here. This is the gnome starting area. I hate gnomes. Gnomes are the devil. Not a fan. You can see that the enemies here are level 20. Just in this zone. So it looks like the starting areas are going to scale up to level 20, which is interesting. So I guess if like you just really want to finish the quests for the starting area, they give you between level 1 and 20 to finish that, is essentially what's happening there. On another note, I am really excited for this patch because one of my biggest complaints with WoW for years has been that it's pretty darn impossible to like actually experience the story as intended, because the game mechanics are telling you just keep going, like, okay, you're level 70, you need to be in Northrend now, get out of the Burning Crusade. You know, oh, you're level 80 now, well, you need to be doing Cataclysm content, get out of Northrend. And you say, well, I'm nowhere near done with the storyline for Northrend. And it says, I don't care. You're not going to get rewards anymore. You can stay if you want, but you're not going to level up anymore. So, of course, if you're trying to level up your character so you can play with your friends, you're going to just keep leveling up regardless of whether or not you finish the story, which doesn't feel very good. So, I'm glad that they're making this change. I think it's a very smart decision. I expect that it's going to be a very popular choice for a lot of people. So we'll take this elevator down. And the entrance is straight ahead as the crow flies. I'll have to go through some twists and turns. Okay, so all of these are level 1. That's odd. So I don't know if that's as intended, because all of these enemies should be scaled up to, not all the way up to my level, but they should be scaled up, and they're all level 1. So that tells me that this is not working as intended. Either that or there's some very weird logic being applied. Okay. So we're in Gnomeregan. I'm going to check the spreadsheet just to make sure I'm keeping track of all the right information. Let's see here. I can go ahead and start making some notes here, actually. Alright, we're going to be keeping track of time, and we're going to be keeping track of the number of drops. What I'm actually going to be doing is moving all this over. This will help us to kind of keep things organized enough that we can keep track. We need to keep track of the lowest eye level dropped, the lowest and highest trash dropped, and the cloth, and any noteworthy items that we got. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get a stopwatch going to help me keep track of the farm. Okay, so you can see these guys are level 60, so they should be dropping level 60 gear. Yes. Oh gosh, I don't have auto loot enabled. That must change. That will not do. That will not do at all. Alright, hang on a second. This is important. This is very important. Auto loot. Always. Yep. Done. Okay. So these guys need to be nuked down. He just drops gold. Got a grime-encrusted object and cloth. Now, yesterday in the run, I was having issues with these guys not wanting to follow me downstairs. So that's something we gotta try to figure out. Like, what's the best way to farm this area if they're not going to follow me? Not quite sure. We're gonna go ahead over to this area to start with. Yeah, I mean, you can see that guy just ran away. He should not have run. He should have stayed aggroed to me. So that's very strange. There's a lot of boxes dropping. Just a ton of them. Very strange. Okay. Get these guys. We are going to go ahead and do this boss down here. It really slows down your clear times, but I think we kind of have to. I kind of toyed with the idea of skipping this boss, but if we're going to be doing a real test here, we just need to do this whole dungeon. Yeah, we're ready. I forgot to start this back up. Okay, add about 3 minutes to the stopwatch. That's fine. Not a big deal. So much chatter on this fight. I hate it. I really do. I am curious, does my spellbook say that I have flying? It should. It does. Yeah, there's definitely a bug going on with that. For those of you that missed it, the game doesn't think that I can fly, and I definitely can. I bought that a very long time ago, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Now, once the last of these guys spawn, we'll just gather this whole room. It'll be great. I think the next wave is the last one. And we'll just go ahead and grab these. Okay. Now what's the... Yeah. I can tell you something. If they're going to be replacing trash, vendor trash, with lockboxes and other containers, rogues and jewel crafters are about to become a lot more popular. I'll tell you that right now. Because rogues have the lockpick ability, and jewel crafters can make lockpicks. It's the only way to open those boxes. Okay. Opens up this. Nuke. And nuke. Lanuke. Lanuke. Oh, you're fine. There we go. And now we can leave. Okay. Alright, what do we got here? No, that's vendor trash. So it's not that vendor trash is gone. It's that its spawn rate has decreased? That's an odd choice. I don't understand that. I mean, are they seeing that, like, rogues are not a popular class? Is it that jewel crafting is not making the same amount of money? What's the deal with me getting 5 lockboxes? I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense to me. Very strange. Okay. Well, we'll definitely be marking that as noteworthy on the spreadsheet, because that seems That seems very unusual to me. I'm not used to getting that many lockboxes. Okay, so we are moving forward. We're going to pick up these guys. Yep, tons of those lockboxes. Okay. I wonder where this guy came from. Okay, so we are moving forward. Let's see if we can actually pull a group. Let's go down this corner. Let's see if they'll come down the stairs. Kinda. Oh, my hotkeys are messed up. PTR is janky. More lockboxes. Holy crap. I can see that getting very annoying. For me, it's not a big deal because as a jewel crafter, I can make lockpicks, and they use a gem that doesn't have a whole lot of use otherwise, so it's really not a big deal. But for other classes, I can see it getting just super frustrating, having to, you know, open all these freaking lockboxes all the time. Or if you vendor them, to feel like you're missing out. Let's take a look here. Get this room. Kill the trogs. Kill them all. They're almost as annoying as gnomes. And more of those lockboxes. Okay. Any more. If there's any up there, they're really not worth getting. These guys are over. Radiated horror. That does sound quite horrific. Can you just imagine, like, a giant radiation monster just, like, chasing you around, and it's just, like, gelatinous goo? How awful would that be? Quite awful, I would say. I wouldn't go to their house. Oh, really? They don't drop anything? That's too bad. Alright, we're just gonna leave this room, then. This room is not worth farming up. Because these guys don't drop anything. Now, this part's a little bit annoying because there's enemies on both the top and bottom level. So let's go ahead and round up the top level. It's a long hallway too. Whew. All right. Jump down here. And if this was just like one or two enemies, it might even be worth like skipping them, but for this many enemies, I don't really think I can do that. Okay. Now, one thing I will note, I haven't gotten a single piece of transmog gear this entire run. That also seems significant to me. So there is some kind of major change happening to transmog gear, at least in Nomergon. Let's put that parameter on. At least in Nomergon, at least for me, this run. Definitely needs to be tested and repeated. But that is an observation I have today. No transmog gear has dropped for me so far. Which makes me wonder, people do this farm for the Hotshot Pilot gloves, which on my server are selling for about 500,000 gold. Are they going to be unobtainable? Because that's a problem. I mean, there's people that want those things. How are they going to get them? Realistically, because they have a small drop chance anyway. So, I have some concerns about that. Alright, moving on. We'll get this platform up over yonder. Kill the boss. Okay. Round them all up. Get this group as well. Feels good, man. Alright. Oh. Feels bad, man. Okay, we'll get this group and then the exits over here. No, thank you. How did they even find me? Oh, that's hilarious. Trying to invite me to a guild on the public test realm. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, looks like that's everybody. Let's let them clump up a little bit. Boom. So we are down to 21 slots. Most of this has been taken up by lockboxes.
Warning, warning, intruder alert, intruder alert. Initializing.
Are they still coming? Okay. You know, these guys are being a little weird. I want to just go ahead and... yeah, we'll just clear this group out. Okay, we did actually just get some transmog. Hero's boots. We'll have to look up the value of that later. Just got money from him. And get this group here. Okay. Believe this is the last level. Wait a minute. That's the back door. This is the last level. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this place is a little confusing. Little bit confusing. And remember that this stopwatch, we need to add about 3 minutes onto it because we forgot to restart it. We had to kind of set some things up at the beginning of this dungeon run. Is this correct? Yes. Believe so. Maybe not. Nope. Nah, then I... Let's go back down. Launch bay? How did I miss you, little guy? Maybe it is in here, then. Yeah, it's that little alcove here. The newer dungeons have little door symbols to let you know where exits and entrances are for different parts of the map, which is very handy. Yeah, it's this area. Not all of the older dungeons have that. I don't know if they plan to add those, or if that's just going to be like new dungeons only. So it's a good feature, but it's a little bit jarring when you don't have that in all of your dungeons. Okay, are these guys still following? I'm going to go ahead and clear this group because I'm afraid they're going to reset on me and I don't want to lose them. Okay, we got another piece of green gear. Only our second. It's only our second, so that's interesting. Down to 9 item slots, so we're getting a little bit low. It's worth noting that I think the same amount of items are dropping. I think. Because if memory serves, I did run out of space multiple times in yesterday's run on stream. In fact, I had to actually destroy a lot of trash. I wasn't even able to sell it. So, yeah, we may actually be saving a little bit of space with this change, which is a nice quality of life feature. But I know that for myself and a lot of other gold farmers, it's really a question of, is it going to be as profitable, right? You know, am I going to be making more money or losing money? That's kind of the main question that we care about. All right. Gather this group up, let them all clump. Two spots left. Okay. Alright, final boss. Looks like we're clocking in at just around 25 minutes. Once we kill this boss. That's not bad. It's not bad. Missed this guy somehow. take this guy out. Okay. 20 minutes on the dot. Add 3, that's 23 minutes. We ran out of room. Okay. Since we're on the PTR, I'll just destroy one of my pieces of gear. Because who cares? Alright. Alright, so let's go ahead and fill in the spreadsheet. Where are we at? Here we go. So, PTR Nomergon took about 25 minutes. Number of drops. 1. Go away. Go away. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. So 14 from this hex weave bag plus the backpack and this other hex weave. 14, 44, and let's say 4 by 5. 64 items dropped. That's significant. It's very significant. We need to figure out how many of these lock boxes dropped. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3. So 43 bronze lock boxes. If memory serves me correctly, that's the name of these. Heavy bronze lock box. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Okay, let's see what's next. Lowest eye level we got. That's a good question. Wasn't really paying attention. 69, 30, 60. Okay, so between 69 and 30 for the new dungeon run. And these are those, hang on a second, those are trash, aren't they? These are both trash. Okay, 39 and 60 for trash. Did we get any real pieces of gear? Yes, we got a 93 ring, 61 ring, 60 ring. Okay, so between 60 and 93. Cloth primary was silk. Definitely. And we got a total of 98. Secondary was wool, 27. Okay, I think that does it. Yeah, so this is what we found for the PTR Nomergon. Now, the real question is, how does that compare? Two questions. How does that compare to non-PTR Nomergon? And what are in these 43 bronze lock boxes? wonder... Let's take a look at Wowhead and see if it tells us the chance of drops from bronze lockboxes. Heavy bronze lockboxes. Now keep in mind, this may not be accurate, but because again, there's tons of changes to these drop rates, but okay. So I mean, there's chances that there's tons of good transmog in this. So we don't actually have a way to know what the value of this dungeon run is. Okay, so this is really interesting. It looks like what Blizzard is doing here is they are adding a layer of cost to transmog runs. I actually really like this for two reasons. One, I'm a jewel crafter, and I'm about to make some serious money on lockpicks. Because if everything comes in a lockbox now, you better believe that lockpicks are going to be selling like crazy. But the other thing is that it kind of forces you to... Everything in this game that you make money with, there's an upfront cost of some kind, and the only exception to that has always been transmog. Like, you could just be running through a dungeon and get a lucky drop, and oh hey look, you just made 1,000 gold. Oh, okay. Doesn't really feel like much effort went into that, whereas with this you have to open a lockbox with a lockpick. That's very interesting to me. I want to see if I have any lockpicks in my bank. I highly doubt we're going to find any on the auction house because it's the PTR, but let's take a look. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll even be able to craft some just to see what kinds of item drops we get. Darn it, I'm used to my travel form being on that key.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, this isn't everything I own. Not even close. There's a ton of there's a lot of reagents missing from this. Some gems and things of that nature. That's too bad. I don't have any lockpicks over here, do I? Maybe I'm just overlooking? Nope. Okay. Well, unfortunately, not going to be able to open all of these. But I suspect that if we were to lockpick each and every one of these, we would get kind of the same loot drops we got with, say, this Hero's Boot and this Amber Hoop of Frost Resistance. I think it's just going to roll more of those times 43. Kind of crazy. Also a little bit tedious now that I'm thinking about it, that, you know, for doing a transmog run, you have to do 43 separate lockbox picks. Someone's definitely going to need to come up with an add-on for that if they haven't already. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, the spreadsheet does need a spot for regular Gnomergon. I'm just going to go back through the footage of our run from yesterday. I'm going to put that into the spreadsheet for comparison's sake. I don't think that there's a ton of difference in terms of cost. Again, the only difference is that the item levels are higher, which means that if you vendor them, they're going to sell for more. And it appears that all, or most rather, of the transmog is locked behind these lock boxes, which is just so weird. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be completely honest with you. But there it is. We're going to go ahead and call it there, I think. Might be back tomorrow with something a little more action-packed. I'm getting quite frankly, a little bit bored of WoW gold farming, so that means you probably are too. So tomorrow, I might be back on with maybe some Heroes of the Storm, maybe a little bit of Overwatch. We'll just kind of see what we've got going on. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun hosting this stream. Hope that this has been an interesting experiment for you. Feel free to go to this spreadsheet. I'm actually going to show you guys what channel this is from. We'll go to history. This is the name of the video. WoW's patch 7.3.5 loot changes, PTR split testing. If you're watching this after the fact, I will include a card, probably at both the beginning and end of this video, to this video that Want to Buy Gold put up, Sir Reckles. It's very interesting. And it's just a great channel anyway, if you're interested at all in WoW Gold. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We will see you next time.